Thank you. As a servant to the many different people in our one Queensland community, I was pleased to accept an invitation from Isaac Balbin, founder of cannabis.org.au, to attend last Thursday's National Cannabis Industry Roundtable. What a pleasure meeting Isaac, Reese and their team in Melbourne, and speaking with other members of Parliament who, like One Nation, believe medicinal cannabis is long overdue for sensible down-regulation. Medicinal cannabis is marvellous. Proven over thousands of years, in the 1920s it was America's most prescribed medicine before Big Pharma realised it could not make as much money from a natural plant. There are now 820 varieties in the Australian cannabis cultivar database and growing, many developed to suit specific health conditions or needs. New South Wales MP David Limbrick made sensible comments about where the line between government regulation for the good of society and personal freedom should be, and it's nowhere near where it is now. Legalised Cannabis Party, MLC, from Western Australia, Sophia Mormond, spoke to the need for some level of personal grow. While we may not agree on personal growing, there was so much commonality in views being expressed. I'm excited for the potential of the cannabis industry, uniting behind a sensible cannabis down-regulation. United Kingdom Member of Parliament Crispin Blunt updated us on how this is progressing in the UK better than here, and provided a framework for evidence-based drug policy. Now that's an idea I can get behind, evidence-based policy on medicine. One of Australia's leading cannabis doctors, Dr Nick Guimara, Vice President of the Society of Cannabis Clinicians, raised his concerns that the current licensing schedule has led to a situation where some disreputable cannabis clinics are pushing patients through so quickly that the resulting prescription and instructions for use are counterproductive for the patient. It's One Nation's belief that the heavily regulated and restricted pathways system is burying the Therapeutic Goods Administration in paperwork that it's not checking, causing suboptimal care and likely patient harm as conditions worsen instead of being treated. This is why One Nation advanced legislation to down-regulate medicinal cannabis so that any doctor can prescribe medicinal cannabis for any patient with a medical need filled by a chemist on the PBS. Our legislation harmonises the THC level below which a plant is hemp, not cannabis, to 1%. This aligns with changes made in all states. The bill further adds a level of THC and CBD below which a pharmacist could sell the product to an adult without prescription. I was pleased to hear Michael Balderston, President of the Legalised Cannabis Party and a legend of the Australian cannabis industry, warn that new hybrid cannabis strains with THC up to 35% were a concern needing some regulation. 35% THC is insane. It would suit the treatment of chronic pain in palliative care and very little else. Michael called for some commercial grow activity, otherwise development of new strains will be compromised. This is the problem with free growing without a commercial option. The plant works best when the profile of THC, CBD, terpenes and flavonoids are set to the needs of a person with a specific health condition. Unlike pharmaceuticals, with natural plant cannabis, one size is not expected to fit all. For this development to continue, needs a commercial market presence. Consensus in the industry may ultimately fall on some level of licensed free growing. One Nation will cross that bridge when we get there, in consultation with our members. Last Thursday, I heard an analogy for free growing. It was the belief that just because people can brew their own beer doesn't mean people will. In fact, almost nobody does, because people can readily buy what's needed commercially. The challenge is to take out the industry's criminal elements while providing the widest range of quality, Australian, whole-plant, natural medicinal cannabis at an affordable price. It's a scandal that regulatory authorities insist on tight volume controls that enable criminal gangs to provide much of the domestic medicinal supply. Gangs that lace cannabis with narcotics and then deliberately target kids at events like schoolies. The TGA is driving practices hurting and dangerous to children. It's a scandal that the minister can downschedule cannabis today, yet has not done so. Scheduling is not legislative, it's regulatory. It's a scandal that some in the cannabis industry, including pioneers, have developed their business under the current regulatory regime and environment and see downscheduling as a threat to their nice little money earners. There's no reason the entire cannabis product offering that the TGA has authorised for prescription under the Restrictive Pathways program could not be offered in Schedule 4 for any doctor to prescribe, products that have already been prescribed successfully and safely for many years. The minister could use a regulatory instrument to make it happen today. Yet he will not, because predatory billionaire owners of pharmaceutical companies pull the strings in Canberra. Australians with a medical need for cannabis don't get a look in. This government is saying to everyday Australians, your needs don't matter. The TGA monitors impacts of cannabis and finds medicinal cannabis has a lower adverse event rate than prescribed pharmaceuticals. Sensible down-regulation will save lives. It will provide hundreds of tailored strains of quality medicinal cannabis designed to ease suffering and improve the health of our society, while taking the profit and control away from crime gangs. I look forward to working with cannabis.org.au to make this happen.